Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this short video. This is Robin from the People and Culture team, and I have Tom Hui as well on the line, who is our fellow People and Culture business partner up in sunny Sydney. It's walking you through the performance review process and just a bit of a guide to the process for 2024. So as I say, this shouldn't take too long, but we're hoping that this will be useful in giving a bit of a guide as to what to look out for, things to remember for performance reviews, and just point you in the direction of some useful resources. In terms of the agenda, so these are some of the items that we'll cover. We'll talk about those as we get through it. Before we begin, I think it's important that we talk about the benefits of performance reviews. And obviously, once a year, we come together as a team, managers and team members, to reflect on the previous year and then also plan going forward. But obviously, the benefits for our leaders is that this gives you a good opportunity to objectively assess performance. It creates a space for you to have some meaningful feedback and to provide that meaningful feedback. I'm obviously aware that WT is always busy, so we're always on the next project and we're always doing something new. So taking that time out of your busy schedule to have those discussions is extremely important. Obviously, the other benefits there are that performance reviews really do help to establish and build on team growth and to establish those connections and discover team members who might be struggling or need additional support. Beyond that, it also helps you to identify opportunities and to seek new possibilities for those team members as well. As I say, you might not take that time otherwise. Tom, do you have anything else you want to say on that in terms of the benefits for leaders in terms of having these discussions?
Yeah, I think just add to that, it's an opportunity also for team members to share some feedback to managers as well. It is a two-way conversation, and they can give some feedback to managers on what works best for them in terms of their support and how to really achieve the goals set by the business as well. And Robin, when is WT looking to have these performance reviews? What's the period? I believe it's 11th of March to 12th of April, is that correct?
Yes, I think 4 weeks in total you'll have to have these discussions. I'm aware that some of your teams are large and we wanted to provide enough time for those conversations to take place. And you're absolutely right, Tom, that it's a two-way street as far as these performance review discussions. It's an opportunity for leaders to give feedback, but also receive feedback, and to have that two-way conversation about performance and goals going forward. So good shout out there. Good to point that out. The key components to an effective performance conversation. So beyond just having the discussion, before that even happens, I think what is really important is that there is some self-reflection. There is some research to show that active participation has a really strong impact on perceived fairness of the performance conversations. So giving as part of the performance review process, having an ability for team members to self-reflect and share those self-reflections before meeting is really important, so that the person feels that they've had an opportunity to share their own perspective, and for that leader to understand it as well. We understand you're all busy. You may not have the full understanding of what that person's been working on, and this gives you that opportunity to share those experiences and to share how you've been going with your reviewing manager before meeting. And equally for the manager, it's really helpful. Tom, anything else on that?
Yeah, is there anything I can, with the self-reflection, I've got a really poor memory. Is there a document I can use to perhaps jot that down beforehand? For example, can I access the PDR template, the performance development review template?
Yeah, so there's a template.
Self-reflection before the meeting?
Sorry, we just cut out there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a template form that can be completed that you can capture all of that. That's to be submitted to your reviewing manager before you meet, and that gives you an opportunity to fully articulate all of your perspective before meeting. Otherwise, we don't want people to forget or to miss half the story or not have that chance. So yeah, good reminder. As far as manager and peer reflection, we need to include that review as well for obvious reasons. Is if you're just reflecting and listening to yourself, I don't think anyone would improve or succeed on that basis. So really, it's about on top of doing that self-reflection piece, is having that ability to receive feedback as well, and for the leader to deliver that feedback. So beyond all of that, the most important component of the performance review process is the conversation itself, and actually having a meaningful one-to-one conversation. We don't want this to be a tick and flick exercise. We don't want this to be a formality just for the sake of formality. These are meant to be an opportunity for leaders and their teams to meet and to have meaningful discussions about how things went over the previous period, but also how to plan and how to move forward. And to your point, Tom, previously, how to do that together, how to have a joint conversation about feedback and then plan for the future. Anything else you want to add to that, Tom?
Probably you'll probably get to it later on the slides, but where do I access this template? And if it's later on in the slide, we can cover it then.
Yeah, we can. I'll show that in a moment, but we've conveniently placed these resources all on Esther. And in fact, Tom, I'll let you go onto Esther and show everybody how to access it, so you can show us, because it's that easy to navigate. It's literally on the front screen. I'll let you drive that and show people at the end of the presentation.
Sure.
So performance reviews. So in 2024, I haven't made any monumental changes to the performance review process in terms of resources and documents. What we have is a template, the performance review template form that's to be completed. That's to document achievements, performance against the values and behaviors, skills and competencies, and then planning looking forward. As I said before, those discussion templates are on Esther, and we'll show you in a moment how to get to those. But if you have any challenges with that, you can let your people and culture representative know. So myself for Victoria, SAWA, and Tom for New South Wales, ACT, and Queensland. If you are trying to access former performance reviews and you want to have access, got a copy of that, just let us know if you want to review it. And we will, if you don't have it, and we'll retrieve that for you. Beyond all of that, just a reminder for the leaders on the call that they need to return the completed performance review forms to their people and culture representative at the conclusion of the performance reviews. So you don't have to do them piecemeal unless you really want to do that. But if you have a team of 10 people, for example, if you want to send all of those through in bulk once they're all completed at the end of the period, and then we'll make sure those are filed for the future. Any other questions, Tom, or things you want to ask?
Yeah, Robin, I've noticed something perhaps that's new, standard and technical. What's the difference there? And which one should I use if I was, for example, a QS?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. So as far as the templates go, we have two types, just because we are recognizing that our technical roles and the questions and the format of that needs to be bespoke to those roles. So for technical roles, that is quantity surveyors and cost engineers, both senior and standard, as well as graduates and cadets, the expectation is to use the technical template. And then for any other roles, which may be, for example, corporate services roles, administrative roles, any non-standard roles that are, any standard roles that are not technical, they can complete, the leader and the team member can complete the standard non-technical template. On the Esther side, it'll also denote which one to pick, and it's a bit more detailed in terms of which you would fall under based on your role title.
Thanks, Matt.
No problem. All right. So before the conversation, the copy of the performance review discussion template for yourself and make notes for each question beforehand. Revisit previously set performance goals when considering your achievements. That's for team members, and provide clear examples of projects and tasks that you have worked on. These are things that your leader will expect from you in terms of preparation. So there is a bit of homework for everybody on the call who is doing a performance review. You need to make sure that you've reviewed your previous performance review so that you can bring that to the table when providing your self-assessment, as well as having that feedback conversation. In terms of gather additional feedback from managers and leaders who you've worked closely with. So this is another step. You need to reach out to those people if you are needing additional feedback or you want to bring that to the discussion. and drive the conversation. So be prepared to own and drive the conversation. This is your opportunity to talk about your progress, growth, and development, as well as career aspirations. So it's very important that when you're meeting with your leader and you're having the discussion, that you're willing and able, and you're prepared to own and drive the discussion. You're not just coming to the conversation expecting for everything to be communicated to you. That certainly is part of the discussion. Is your leaders should be able to come to those discussions and give you some feedback. But as we've said from the beginning, there's a self-assessment component to this, which is just as important. And that means that you need to be ready to drive the conversation and talk about how you've performed, what you need going forward, what your aspirations are going forward. And as I say, all leaders are coming into this next performance review for 2024 expecting that from their teams.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great, Robin. And I think it really bodes well with one of WT's values, which is empower. I've just experienced a couple of my performance reviews where my leader has come in and sort of told me what to do. So has that changed in a way, or are we just getting better at what we're doing now?
Look, I think over time things will improve, and as far as the feedback culture, it's definitely something WT wants to focus on, because it is. I think it speaks very strongly to our value of empower. We want team members to have a voice in these discussions. We don't want this to be a one-way street. As far as to your original point, we don't want this to be a top-down, one-way, one-channel exercise. It needs to be a joint collaborative conversation, and I think that's the only way that you're ever going to succeed and improve, is if you're not only listening to feedback, but you're reflecting and part of that process as well. So the short answer is I think things are changing. So I just think this is part of the process of getting better at having meaningful feedback conversations and improving our feedback culture at WT.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Okay, so record keeping. So keep detailed notes, everybody. Objective evidence of employee performance, obviously for leaders doing their assessments, and baselines for future reviews. I would also direct people to the SMART principles, SMART, when it comes to setting goals. SMART is pretty ubiquitous now, so you can find those details on Google as far as the importance of having specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals that we can work towards. Use the standardized forms, as I mentioned before, and to your point previously, Tom, we are trying to move away from having multiple different templates and multiple different methodologies for recording performance. So make sure we are keeping each other honest, and we're using the template forms when we're recording these discussions. It's important as well that we keep these conversations confidential. So we don't want, obviously, for these discussions to be shared out in the broader business. We want these to be a safe place for people to open up, share their experiences, and have meaningful conversations with their leaders. And finally, review and update regularly to assess progress. I mean, I think from my perspective, Tom, I don't know about you, I think that's probably one of the most important things is if we make commitments, if we set goals, and we've spent the time to understand what we need to work on. It's important that we revisit that, we reassess it, and we keep working on it. Without that, I feel like the exercise is somewhat pointless. So I think that, from my perspective, I think that's really important, that once you've set your goals, you've had your conversation, if you've agreed on any actions out of that, that you review them, you regularly update, and if possible, you have those regular check-ins to see how things are going. What do you think, Tom? What stands out to you in this one?
No, I think what you've said, and you've covered it really well, Robin. I think what would be good to point out as well is we introduced the individual development review template late last year, and just wanted to note that it is separate to this performance review, and those are utilised. And once you have that conversation with your leader and you recognise that there are development goals or areas that you want to stretch your talent, I think that's when the separate template, the individual development plan. Sorry, I think I called it something else. The IDP. Yep, is utilised. So it is separate to that, and I think it's probably worth noting for our managers and team members.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, I'm moving on because I'm conscious of time. Key dates for your diaries. So as per what Tom alluded to, we do have dates. As far as when the reviews begin, leaders and their team members can begin reviewing performance and having those discussions commencing the 11th of March. And that period is all the way through to the 12th of April. So you've got a full month to begin the reviews and to complete them. It's very important that we don't wait until the last week to have these conversations, because it's not just about having them, it's about recording them. It's also about making sure that the completed reviews are submitted and in a legible and formatted and correct condition, so that we're obviously not rushing the work at the very end. So I would encourage all leaders and team members to start early, to take full advantage of the full period of time that's available. And from the 22nd of April, the People and Culture team will complete a debrief following the conclusion of the review.
Yeah, something I'd like to add to that as well. If you are on leave during that period, these aren't rigid dates. I would probably suggest do it ahead of time if you are prepared, and both your manager and yourself can go before the 11th of March and say, for example, your leave falls between those dates. There are 4 weeks in there roughly. There's no reason why you can't go a little bit, before that date and speak to either myself or Robin if either your manager or yourself need support with that.
Yeah, good to mention. Thanks, Tom. And finally, everybody, so just the resources that are available to you. So we'll show you in a moment, but a lot of the resources for this are now found directly on the ESTA front page. The technical and standard performance review templates, the capability framework. Now, I have not mentioned this previously, but part of the performance review process will require all WT employees to review the new capability framework that has been released for 2024. And there's an exercise within that as well. There's a separate piece of training that is going to be rolled out to explain that framework, as well as what will be required as part of that for the performance reviews. There'll be a self-assessment component against the framework. I don't want to go down that in any depth, because I think there's going to be separate training on that which will cover it. But the bottom line is that resource is available on the ESTA front page, so you can access the framework in the performance review portal. And finally, an FAQ will be added as well. Beyond the ESTA portal, there'll be training as well for leaders as far as having effective conversations and providing meaningful feedback. That will also be provided. And if anybody on the call, team members or leaders, have any queries, they can reach out to their People and Culture team. And as I said, that could be either myself or Tom, and we're happy to support you. Tom, before I close out, would you be so kind as to share your screen and show us how we can access the ESTA portal performance review tile?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. If you note there, this is the landing page for SharePoint. Robin, can you just confirm and give me a thumbs up that's there, that you can see it?
Yes, I can see it.
If you scroll down, it's the 8th tile. If you're going from left to right, and it says performance reviews, just click on that and it will take you to the landing page here. And you can see towards the right is where you have your technical performance reviews, mainly dedicated to our technical staff, so QS and cost engineers. And for support staff like myself and you, Robin, we have the standard performance review here, and the capability framework, if you'd like to review that and peruse at your own time. As Robin said, it's something that's a soft launch, so to speak, but we'll reserve that for a separate training session, and we won't go down that path on this call.
Brilliant. If anybody has any questions, please reach out. But otherwise, we wish you all the best for your performance review conversations. We hope they're all meaningful, productive, and positive. And really, if anybody has any queries or concerns and they need to reach out, please do so. And thanks, Tom, for joining the call and
thanks, Robin.
Being my audience.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.